Very good morning to all of you. Uh, Welcome to day 4 of our blockchain session. And all these 3 days, I hope it was a pure theoretical concept which we all have learned, where we understood the protocols or why blockchain or where blockchain is used. That's how the entire sessions were done. And today we have Mr. Herman, a passionate technology evangelist working in the blockchain space as a developer, consultant, mentor, and also content creator. Being an extrovert, he is always open to new ideas and love to collaborate with others. And he now works more on blockchain and any Netflix series, food or views on life in general, and he will get along pretty good. He is a Corda certified blockchain developer and have expertise in Corda, Hyperledger, and Ethereum. He is primarily in the trade finance domain, unleashing the powers of blockchain in trade finance. He writes a lot of blogs on blockchain, listens to Coldplay with an espresso in his hand. He has his own blog. He listens to podcast and he has given these details in his blogs. And he normally gives webinars and also works more on blockchain. So I was a participant for a session that he had conducted earlier. Through that only, I think I could connect with Herman. I know how interesting his session would be, and we all are eagerly waiting for your session, Herman. Over to you, and thank you from JSS Academy of Technical Education for accepting our invitation and having these session, the two sessions continuously, which we all as faculty know not so easy to do it. Thank you for your presence here, and over to you, Herman.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a nice introduction. I didn't realize that you you attended a webinar before. So
Yes, yes, through that only I could connect to you.
okay. That's
Thank
really
you.
nice to hear from you, and it really means a lot.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So
Thank you.
first of all, I would like to thank JSS Institute for letting me be a speaker in this webinar series. So coming directly to the topic, welcome all the participants. Please feel free to interrupt me anywhere in between if you feel like you missed out something or you want to understand it more, or even if you have any curiosity, if you have some topic in mind and you want to know about it, you can just interrupt me, or you can even leave a text in the chat. I will keep looking at the chat in between. Please keep this session as interactive as possible, because the more you ask, the more I can dive deep into the blockchain concepts. So I will just share my screen, and please let me know when this is visible. Is my screen visible?
No, sir.
For me, it is visible.
Yeah, for me it is visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sir, it's not visible. I can't say this.
Sure.
Maybe.
I will just stop sharing and reshare it again. Sometimes it happens. So rest you will have to check your internet connection maybe. Yes. I've shared it again.
No, it is visible, Herman.
Okay.
I
Sure.
don't know why I can't see it.
Ma'am, I think it is the problem with your internet. Please check.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So and please everyone put themselves on mute so that there is no disturbance for all the participants. Thank you. So today's session, as mentioned earlier, it is about Ethereum deep dive. So what we will be covering is we will be dividing the session in three parts. One will be smart contract part. Second will be the APIs for the smart contract, and third will be the front end. So obviously we will not have enough time to go over all of these completely. So the smart contract part we will code because it involves a little bit of understanding of all the concepts in Ethereum. The APIs and the front end, I will show you some predefined code that I have, which is for this purpose only. So we will go over the code that is written already. But the smart contract part, I expect all the participants to join me and develop the smart contract side by side. It is very basic, very simple, and it will clear all of your concepts in the Ethereum blockchain. So before moving towards Ethereum and the coding part, I would first like to take just 10 minutes and introduce or revise the concepts of blockchain so that everyone is on the same page. So blockchain is, let's skip to a slide which is more appropriate. Yes. So how blockchain works is, let's take a normal example of payment on the blockchain. So Alice wants to send money to Bob. So a transaction, it is a transaction that Alice wants to send money to Bob, right? And this transaction is represented as a block. So what is a block? A block is a defined structure where we have different fields. So a transaction is represented in a block, which means that the block contains all the information regarding the transaction. Then the block is broadcasted to all the network. So this is the consensus protocol, the third one. So the block is broadcasted to all the network. All the network approves the transaction. So what happens is the network approves, okay, the sender is authentic, the buyer is authentic, and the transaction on an overall perspective, it is authentic. So when all the network approves the transaction, it is the consensus mechanism working. So after the approval, the block is added to the existing blockchain and the transaction is deemed as complete. So this is the general, how blockchain works. It is general, not totally specific, because here we can see the consensus protocol. It says the block is broadcasted to all the network. This is the gossip protocol. This is not the same in all blockchain platforms. Okay. So how it happens is the blocks, how they are linked together. This is important to remember because we will see a lot of this today. So basically a block containing the information is linked to the next block cryptographically. How? The hash of one block is presented as the previous hash in the next block. So what happens is when we have some data, so let's say we are doing a transaction and the transaction is nothing but a piece of data, right? So this data is stored inside a block and this data goes through a hashing function, maybe SHA-256, maybe MD, maybe some other hashing function, right? It depends upon the blockchain platform. So the data goes through a hashing function and a hash is created, right? This hash represents the data uniquely. If anything in the data changes, the hash will also change. So this hash is included in the next block along with the data of the next block, and the previous hash plus the data of the next block together are hashed again. And the process is continued with every subsequent block. So one block hashed, its hash in the next block plus the data of the next block and then hash again. And then this hash in the next block. So this is how cryptographically all the blocks in the blockchain are linked, right? So also another main concept here is the chronological order. Every block that is added to the blockchain is according to a chronological order, right? So for example, in this instance, let's assume Alice sends 10 rupees to Bob today, and Bob returns 10 rupees to Alice tomorrow, right? But if we remove the timelines, if we do not follow the chronological order, someone can say Bob sent 10 rupees to Alice and then Alice sent 10 rupees to Bob, which means totally opposite, right? Rather than understanding that Alice was the one who gave the money to Bob, it seems like Bob gave the money to Alice if we do not follow the chronological order. So this is the importance of a time stamp in the blocks. So this chronological order, it is maintained through a time stamp, right? So a perfect example, kind of a simulation to understand blockchain is mm, uh, can anyone let me know if you guys have already seen this online simulator? Because most people who teach blockchain, they normally use this.
Yeah, we have seen in this course itself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is most common example. I'll just quickly go through it so that we don't waste any more time on it. So as I said, the block has different fields that represent the transaction, right? So this is a block number. We have a nonce, data, and the hash which represents that data, right? This mining process, it is specific to a blockchain where proof of work is used. So I'm sure you guys have gone through the consensus algorithms and proof of work being the most common one yet. So this mine button, it is for the proof of work. Otherwise, the newer blockchain consensus algorithms that are better, they don't need this mining, right? They are more efficient, they consume less energy, and they are faster. So they don't depend upon mining, they depend upon other concepts, and we will see them also if needed. So just this overview one. So blockchain distributed, number of 5 blocks, they are present on all the computers. Everyone who is a node on the blockchain will have all the blocks, right? So a node on the blockchain means a participant on the blockchain or a computer which is hosting the blockchain. So every node will have all the blocks, right? So again, this concept we need to remember because it will help us understand how Ethereum will, we will develop on Ethereum. Any questions still yet? Any doubts you want to clear? Please let me know.
Are this block connected with linked list or something else?
Ma'am, linked list is the most common reference that we can use to understand this, but they are connected cryptographically, as I said. So this, see, you can see that this is a hash of the first block, right?
Okay.
00000157, and this is
Yes.
present in the previous hash of this. So
Okay.
connected like a linked list. Their memory allocation is different, but their connection is through the hashes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, please? Okay. So we will move towards Ethereum. Let's see the ID first. So before we, okay, with what type of data? Data inside the blocks, it can be the representation of any transaction, of any interaction between two nodes, saving a document on the blockchain, saving some information on the blockchain. If it is an IoT enabled system, then it can be data of weather, data of heat signature. So any form of data. whatever you want to save on the blockchain. It depends upon the use case. Okay, so Ethereum is a public blockchain, right? We have two types of blockchains, public and private. There is third type also, hybrid, but it is not that much popular, so we don't include that much. So public blockchain is where anyone can come on the network and join it, right? You can sign up and start doing transaction on a public blockchain right away. A private blockchain is where you have to enter it, get an identity issued on the blockchain, and then use it, right? So they serve different purposes and different use cases. Ethereum is the most popular public blockchain after Bitcoin, obviously, and it is the first blockchain that started the development of smart contracts. So which is why Ethereum is the perfect blockchain for smart contract use cases, which are most of the use cases in our daily lives, right? If you see any activity in our daily life, it can be turned down into some instructions, right? If you are going to a shop, you can say, open the door, open the gate, start the vehicle, drive to the shop, right? Every single thing that we do can be broken down into instructions, and smart contracts allow us to put those instructions into code, right? So I hope this concept of smart contracts is clear, because we are going to develop one. So for Ethereum, the development of smart contract is usually done on this IDE, remix.ethereum.org. So Remix is the online IDE, okay, integrated development environment for Ethereum development or Solidity development. So I guess I have to my existing one. Yes. So I've just made a few changes to the default one, and I have some test files there. So every Remix IDE is local to your browser. Okay, so it uses your browser storage. Whatever you are doing in your Remix, no one else can see it because it is your browser storage. Okay, so this is the starting page of Remix. It allows us to develop smart contracts in Solidity as well as other one or two languages. So the other language is Viper. It is a Python-like language, but it is not commonly used. So we always prefer Solidity, right? So if you if you can, anyone or everyone can open Remix on their own browsers. The first interaction with Remix will ask you to open a specific language. You can click on Solidity, right? When you click on Solidity, the relevant information regarding Solidity will be provided you on the left side. Okay. So coming to this browser-based IDE, we will go through the different aspects of this IDE along with the backend. But before that, let's see a little bit of the theory of this. I'm sorry, was there any question?
Just want to ask, why you choose between
I'm sorry, sir, your voice is breaking.
okay. So, and truffle
So
this
your
one
voice is still
recently.
breaking. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, still okay. Okay, I'll.
Can
I
you
need
put it
to add
in
some
chat if you want?
sound. Now you are able to hear me? Sorry.
Yes, yes. Now I can hear you clearly.
Okay, okay. Why you choose Remix when compared to Truffle? Any reason behind it?
Okay, so I'll show you in just a minute why Remix we prefer, because
Okay.
because of a number of reasons, and we will just see that in just a minute.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
So maybe I can address this first before going to theory, because this is obviously something that should be addressed before. So when we start coding in Remix, I can show you a simple contract. Let's say hello. Okay. So a number of reasons why we prefer Remix is, firstly, the faster deployment. Whenever you write a contract in Remix, you can just make 2 clicks for compile and deploy, and you can deploy on any network. So you can deploy on your local environment also, you can deploy on your integrated Web3, you can deploy on the actual Ethereum blockchain, or you can even deploy on the testnet, which we will do today, right? We will deploy on the test network. So deploying is very easy. After deploying, another thing is that when you see this deployed contract, you can see all the buttons here. So usually what happens is we develop the smart contract first, right? We obviously cannot develop the front end and back end before we develop the smart contract. So before we develop the front end, how do you interact with your smart contract? So for that, you need some interface, or you need some buttons, so you can know how it is working, what is the flow of the contract. So this is a very basic smart contract. So you can see, even for this, you can see these buttons and they easily tell you how you can interact with the contract, what functions are there, right? Another thing, the information available in Remix is very well defined. So when you compile it, you can get all the compilation details, which are very useful for different purposes, right? So the compilation detail is very easily available. And last, when you choose this Remix IDE, you can quickly identify which version of Solidity you are using, and is it compatible or not. And these are a few things that Truffle don't allow us to do. Truffle is also a good smart contract development environment, but it is more for a local environment.
Okay, I do some of the points, like what you said is deployment and other things might be faster, but the buttons are available when you execute. The buttons are available.
They're available in the newer section. Actually, they were not available before. And
Yeah.
Truffle was just a command line kind of tool, and it was very cumbersome.
Okay. So because my students were using those, and in Truffle those are available, but might be compilation deployment is faster, and might be you can see the compilation.
Yes, and
Details. Yeah.
Truffle is better in some senses when we go to the local environment, but it is more when you go to the actual production environment. When you want to create the smart contract isolation, so Mix is the best ID for that. And also, we will see that, for example, I have this MetaMask extension. So if MetaMask is required to interact, you can, like, it's just a little bit faster. Truffle also has a good interaction with MetaMask, or you have to install Ganesha for it, and you have to locally start a blockchain if you want to interact with Truffle. So there are a few additional steps. But with Remix, you can just directly connect with MetaMask here, and you can shift directly. Let's say you quickly shift between the JavaScript VM and the injected Web3.
Okay, sure.
Sure, sir. So other than this, let's have a little bit of theory, so that we can understand Ethereum more extensively. So I'll just quickly go over the theory, because obviously we want to be a little more practical in this. So let's say introduction to Ethereum. It is a immutable database, as all blockchains are. So it is one of the main things that make Ethereum special is it is Turing complete, right? So Turing complete is the ability of program or a system to compile or to run any other program given a specific amount of time and storage. So basically, Turing complete means that Ethereum is a machine that can complete a program given a specific amount of time and storage. Okay. So there are a few things about Ethereum smart contracts. They are decentralized, they are unstoppable, so they are used for verification and compliance issues, everything. So there is no fraud, no third party interference. We can directly allow two parties on Ethereum to communicate, and there is no downtime. It's not going to take much time. Smart contracts are much faster than the traditional contracts. So then there are Ethereum nodes. Ethereum nodes are the computers that run the Ethereum network. Okay, so there is an image, so you can see. So there are different Ethereum nodes present all around the world. Each node has some specific computer requirements, so they need a very good requirement computer specification, and each node is maintaining the blockchain. It would be wrong to say they are running the blockchain, more like they are maintaining the blockchain, right? When a new block is added, it basically becomes a storage, right? It basically becomes a database. So all these nodes, you can think of them like a database. So they are maintaining all the blocks in the blockchain, but they are responsible for various other purposes also. They are responsible for maintaining the consensus, also for maintaining the network in terms of transactions, transaction fees, and transaction speed, and different purposes altogether. So how we want to utilize this network is, when we work on Ethereum, when we want to create a smart contract or an application on Ethereum, we want to interact with these nodes. Basically, by using some facilities such as Web3.js or MetaMask, we will connect with the existing Ethereum node, and then we can run our application on that node or on the Ethereum network. So we can run our own node also, but number one, it is very expensive. Number two, it is very time consuming. And number three, we don't require to. We don't need to, right? We can run our own node also, but we don't need to. So we can simply develop an application and deploy on the Ethereum node. Any questions yet?
Hello, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Sir, how can we deploy, sir? Can you explain? If we create a block, how, sorry, smart contract, how we can deploy it into the blockchain?
Yes, ma'am. We will see this in today's session only.
Oh.
Yeah. So just after we complete a little bit of more theory, so that we understand concepts of Ethereum, then we will develop the smart contract and deploy it on the network.
Okay, sir. In the previous slide, I have one doubt, sir.
Sure.
Sir, you just enter the nonce value, and after that, the hash is created.
Yes, yes.
For block 1 and 2, etc. So if a set of transactions comes at the time period, during the time period of 10 minutes or like that, so only this hash is the identification for block 1, or it may be differ.
There are different ways to identify the block 1. We will see that also. So I don't want to jump into different concepts at a single moment. So please, maybe you can wait a little more so that once we understand the concepts, and then we can get into that.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. Okay. So we connect to the Ethereum node through using Web3.js. So Web3.js is the JavaScript library which is developed by the Ethereum community only, and it has some predefined functions which can allow us to connect with the Ethereum node. So account types, there are two types of accounts. There are externally owned accounts which we will make, and then there are contract accounts, which means the address of the contract, simply, right? Okay, so this is also a little bit of theory that we will see on the network only. So the Ethereum account usually has a nonce, ether balance, account address, public key and private key for the externally owned accounts, and a code for the contract accounts. So address we don't need to. Okay. The most important part of the Ethereum blockchain is Ether. So Ether is the native currency of Ethereum. Just like rupees we have, Ethereum has Ether, right? So what happened was Ethereum, when it was created, they identified that, okay, if two people are doing transaction, other people on the network should verify that transaction, right? But the other people, they need some incentive to verify that transaction. This can't happen that the other people will verify the transaction for free, right? Even if it serves their purpose, even if it makes them, a part of a decentralized network, people need incentive to do something, right? So what Ethereum community decided was we will create our own native currency, Ether, and we will give Ether to all those who validate the transactions or mine the transactions, right? So this is what become the process of mining. So miners, they will get Ethers. So it happens in blockchain also, in Bitcoin also, but Ethereum, it is a bit different, right? So this is the incentive mechanism for Ethereum. Another thing that we should know is we don't use Ether in our daily Ethereum usage, right? Just like rupees are divided into pesas, dollars into cents, right? Ethereum is divided, Ether is divided into WEI, WEI. So we can see this online converter. I'll open the same link only. So Ethereum is divided into different smaller currencies, right? So this is the main Ether. So if you enter one Ether, you can see that one WEI is 10 raised to power 18. Okay. So this is Ether into WEI. And there are other also. We might use GigaWEI also. But the most common one is WEI. And why it is converted into WEI? Because when we do the transaction, you will see that only a small part of Ether, like 0.00001 Ether, is going to be consumed by a transaction, which is very difficult to identify every time. So all the calculations and decimals, it becomes harder. So to make it easy, they have converted into WEI. Next and integrally important is gas. So as I told you, there is the incentive on the Ethereum blockchain. If a person validates a transaction, he gets incentivized. This incentive is measured in terms of gas. Okay, so gas actually measures how much work is done. So when you see a smart contract, right, there are some different functions inside it. So there is this variable, constructor, and three functions. Everything in this smart contract has a particular amount of work to do. It will consume a particular storage space, and it will require some particular computational power. So this means that this smart contract will have a definite gas fee, which means that when we combine all the work done by all the different elements of the smart contract, we will get one figure which will represent the gas or the total work to be done by the smart contract. Okay. So gas fee is calculated in a different way. We will see how in the next slide. Okay. So there are different terms associated with it. Number one is gas price. So it is the price which is set by the Ethereum community. We will see this and understand this better when we start coding. So gas price and gas limit, we will see later on. Okay. Let's just calculate the gas right now, how it is done, so that it can help us. So here is something like Ethereum opcodes. This is available on GitHub publicly. So you can see that all the actions that you do in a smart contract, they have some predefined gas. So if you add, you have to spend 3 gas. If you multiply, you have to spend 5 gas. This is the predefined set gas. So let's imagine your smart contract has 3 functions: multiplication, addition, and equality comparison. So these 3 functions together, they will cost 11 gas: 5 for multiplication, 3 for addition, and 3 for equality. So the total gas that will be consumed by this example will be 11, right? And this total gas has to be multiplied with the gas price in the market to understand what is the total cost that will the miner bear. So we can introduce gas price here. So the total gas, it has to be multiplied by the gas price. Now what is gas price? Gas price is set by the market. For example, let's say you want 10 US dollars, right? How do you identify what 10 US dollars are in Indian rupees? There is a price set, right? So currently US dollars are 73 rupees. So your 10 US dollars will be 730 rupees. Earlier it was 80 rupees. So earlier the amount of 10 US dollars was 800 rupees, right? So this is a difference in value. Why? It is set by the market. Similarly, for Ethereum, gas price is set by the market, which is available in gas station. I have to write Ethereum here. So Ethereum gas station, it shows you the current gas price. So the standard gas price right now in Gigaway is 59. So this is in Gigaway. So it is 59. I will put here 59. Right? 59 Gigaway will be these many ways. So the gas price into total gas. So our transaction fee here becomes 11 into 59, comes out to be somewhere around this number. So I'm not doing calculations now. So this you get the idea, right? So transaction fee is calculated by gas price into total gas. Any questions regarding this?
Actual money you need to pay only to the production installations, not for testing and other stuff. It's not.
Yes, actual money you need only for production. For testing purposes, we will get
Free.
free type of free ethers. We will see them also when we develop deploy it. Any other questions, please?
Sir, it's perfectly all right. Please go further. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. So gas price, gas fees we have done. So transaction blocks we will see in action that will help us understand more. Tools and frameworks. So these are there are a certain set of tools and frameworks that are popular in Ethereum. Number one is obviously Solidity. It is the language which is used for developing the smart contracts most commonly. Remix, it is the cloud-based IDE. It is accessible from anywhere, and it is most commonly used. Okay, so it uses JavaScript virtual machine. We will see what it is also. Truffle, it is the development environment. It helps us in the contract management and deployment, and it is most commonly used for the production environment because it is more efficient and in terms of contract management. But Remix we use in our daily smart contract development or even before production when it is in testing case, because it is available everywhere. It is easy to collaborate in that sense. Then there is Ganesha. Ganesha was previously called the test RPC. RPC means remote procedure call. So it is just the type of call that we can set up connection we set up with a node. So Ganesha is used to run a Ethereum blockchain on our local machine, and it is integrated with Truffle so that we get a full environment on our local machine. So I will also run Ganesha to show you how it works, but it is not important to learn it right now. Then we have Web3.js, the JavaScript library created by Ethereum community, which is used to interact with the Ethereum blockchain. There is MetaMask. It is a browser plugin. It is a wallet. It is more than a wallet, but commonly regarded as a wallet. So we will understand what wallet is in the cryptocurrency world. Then there is Mist-Gap browser. Just like Google Chrome, it is a complete browser which can be used to run decentralized applications or dApps. Next, we have Geth. It is a command line tool. So it is very difficult to use by someone who is not comfortable with command line. Like it is like core Linux commands, right? So it is a full Ethereum node implementation in Go language. Then the front-end technologies, they can be anything: React, Vue, Redux, Angular, whatever you want to use on the front end. They have nothing to do with the blockchain. And lastly, Ethereum node. So as I told earlier also, Ethereum node, which will maintain the Ethereum blockchain, we either have to run our own Ethereum node or connect with an existing node so that we can run our smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain. So this was all about the theory about Ethereum. I think I went over it quite fast because I want to get into the technical session. So please, if there are any doubts or any queries, please let me know. In the meantime, I will start with the development of this. So before we develop the smart contract, we need to understand two concepts. Number one is Etherscan.io. So for every blockchain, there is a blockchain explorer, right? So you see there are different blocks in the blockchain. So how do you identify each block? How do you communicate with them, or how do you see which block is where? So this is done by the Ethereum blockchain explorer for Ethereum and different blockchain explorers for different blockchains, right? So for example, Hyperledger has Hyperledger Explorer. Coda has its own blockchain explorer. So Node Explorer is for Coda, and there are different blockchains. So there is Algorand. It has Algo Explorer. So different explorers, right? Blockchain explorers. So basically what the blockchain explorer has the main task to show is the latest blocks and the latest transactions. So the latest blocks are the blocks that are recently added to the blockchain. If you open any latest block, you will see all the information regarding the block. So there is a block height, which we know as the number. There is a timestamp, which, as I told you, is very crucial for the purpose of chronology. Then there are number of transactions. I'll come back to this. or maybe defined here only. So in our previous example, when we saw that a single transaction is made and it is added to a block, right? The block can have multiple transactions. So let's assume there are 1000 people on the blockchain and 100 people have completed a transaction in 1 second. So that doesn't mean that 100 blocks will be added in that transaction. It means that those 100 transactions will be present in a single block and that block will be added. Okay. And there are multiple levels of hashing used. All the transaction will be displayed as a hash. All the blocks will also be displayed as a hash. Okay. So if I open transactions here, I will see all the transaction hash. So this is the transaction hash, and these are the accounts which are involved in the transaction. Okay. Coming back to the block. So there are different parts of the blocks we see mined by. So Ethereum currently is working on proof of work consensus, but it is now shifting towards proof of stake. So Ethereum is upgrading. Just yesterday, I released a blog on Ethereum 2.0. I will provide the link to this blog so that you can read it and understand what I mean by the new uh, proof of stake framework. So why this is there and what importance it has. So I'll share this in the chat window for anyone who wants to know more about the Ethereum upgrade. So coming back to this block configuration. So it is currently mined. It might not be so in the future. So there is a block reward. So the miner gets this much reward for the work done. Uncle's reward, we don't need to get into the other concepts. Difficulty. So difficulty, I'm sure that you guys, if you have heard about the consensus of mining proof of work, you understand that the mathematical function which is solved in the proof of work, it has some difficulty. And this is the difficulty associated with the mathematical function related to this block. So most importantly, now we have this gas used, gas limit. And you can even see extra data, but we have nothing to do with this. But we can go through it. This extra data, it hardly has any reference. This is the hash of the block, the parent hash or the previous hash. So uncles are basically the JavaScript machine references inside. We have nothing to do with this. It is already predefined. There is a state root which helps in the Merkle tree definition. Again, this is irrelevant to the development. And then there is nonce, obviously. So it helps in creating a unique hash even with the same functions. So all the blocks have the same hashing function, right? And it can happen that two blocks might have the same hash, right? If I'm doing a transaction with you, I may do a transaction 2 times and it might have a same hash. But this nonce is added to uniquely identify that hash, also to ensure that the proof of work has no double spending problem. Okay. I hope that answers your question, ma'am, about this block definition. And if there is any specific question, please ask. Okay. So this was about the block in the Etherscan, right?
Hello.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
namaste.
Yes, sir. Hello.
So my name is Harshad. I have some queries. If you can help me, it would be great.
Sure, sir. Absolutely.
Sir, I have one question. Something like, let's say I have user Harshad and there is another user, let's say Harman.
Okay.
And Harshad wants to send, let's say 100 rupees to Mr. Harman.
Okay.
So can you please help me to define a smart contract for this thing and how it can be added in this block?
Yes, sir. We are going to see that only.
So if you can give me one example, okay, Harshad wants to give 100 rupees to Mr. Harman, and we can have a smart contract for this, how it will be added in a block. It will be great. That is question number one. And question number two, if at the same time, two different users sitting at two different locations try to access a block and try to add a new block or a new transaction, how how the system will overcome the problem of two transactions adding in the same block?
Sure. Okay. So these two questions, sir.
I think you are getting my question, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I'll firstly address your second question because it is more relevant right now. And the first question we will get back to when we start developing the contract. Okay.
Okay, sir. Great.
Question, as I understand, when two people like, let's assume there are two transactions happening individually at certain amount of time and two blocks are being added at the same time. What happens in that scenario, right?
Yes, sir.
So there is something called a fork. Before fork also, we can see the concept that what happens is, let me show you if there is an example. Yeah, so this is the longest chain rule in the consensus mechanism. Okay, I wanted to find an image for it so that, yes, here it is. So see what happens is, let's say there are this 5B and 5A. These two blocks were added at the same time, right? What happens is when the next block is added, whichever becomes the longest chain, it becomes the main chain. So basically, when three blocks are added, you can see this example 3C, 3D, 3E. These three blocks are added at the same time and 4B is added on 3D. In this example, if we consider only these three chains, not the upper one or the lower one, then this 4B one, this chain would have become a main chain. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So in this scenario, we can see that this is a perfect example 3A, B, C, D, E, F. So these all six blocks were added at the same time. But among these four, this was the longest. Among these three, these two were the longest. So this was discarded. And among these two, this was the longest. So these were discarded. So this means all the other blocks are discarded. They have to be added again to the blockchain. And they will be added to the longer blockchain now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
First question about the example of smart contract, I will show that later on when we start developing it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Any other questions, please? Okay. So coming back to the Ethereum Blockchain Explorer, so we will also see our own transactions or blocks that we add in this Blockchain Explorer, but not exactly this one. So there are different networks in Ethereum. Obviously, the mainnet for the production and the test network. And there are different test networks. Okay. So broadly speaking, we have a mainnet and a testnet in Ethereum. So this etherscan.io, it is the mainnet blockchain explorer. So it shows us all the activity that is being done on the main Ethereum blockchain. What is the current hash rate? What is the transactions done? And what is the ether price right now? Market capitalization. These are normal things. But what we want to show, let's say, let's open charts and statistics. So we can see this blockchain data, daily transactions, right? Daily transfer, unique addresses, all of this. So all of this information is available on the etherscan.io for the main Ethereum network. What we will be using is etherscan.io for the test network, which has different name. Okay. So let's say we have let's open from here. Okay, I'll open the other one. So this is the test network. When I open its Explorer, it is not named commonly with Etherscan, but it shows Etherscan only, right? So this is kind of a simulation for the production environment. So we have the Explorer for the test network. I will explain what Rinkeby is. So obviously Rinkeby is the test network, but I will go through all the Rinkeby related aspects in the later stage. So this is going to be the test network where when we deploy a transaction, we will see here. Okay. Similarly, there is ropeston.etherscan.io. It is the test net explorer for Ropeston test network, right? Rinkeby and Ropeston, they are two of the test nets available. Other networks are also available, which are Goerli, and there is one more, O1, I guess. So there are 4 or 5 test networks right now. Okay. So we will be using Rinkeby because it is a little bit faster and it is easier to see better. Okay. So coming back to our smart contract. Now, first thing that we need is a address on the Ethereum blockchain. If you want to develop a smart contract and deploy it, obviously you want to use it on the Ethereum network. So what you need is an account on Ethereum. So how do you make an account? Account on Ethereum is made through a wallet. A cryptocurrency wallet is different from the traditional wallet that you have, right? A cryptocurrency wallet, it is basically stores your public and private key. So you can see on this network, if you open any transaction, right, you can see a from and to, like this person interacted with this person, right? And you can see that the from is just a number. It is an address. It is a public address. If you open this, you can see that this person with this address has this much balance and he has done all of these transactions in the past, right? So basically your address identifies you on the Ethereum network. It is just like your ID in a bank, customer ID in a bank, right? However, this address holds very it holds a significant position. Why? Because number one, if you have a public address, this means that you are not exposing your identity on the Ethereum blockchain. You can do a transaction without telling other person what is your name, what is your location, what is your age, and other factors. Okay. So public address is used to represent a person on the Ethereum blockchain. So now public address helps us represent it. How do we transact with the other party? That is done through the private key. So when we want to do a transaction, the transaction is displayed in this manner on the public network. But to authenticate the transaction so that no one else can use our public address, we have a private key which is used to sign the transactions. Okay. And we will use the private key also. So where do you get a public address and a private key and all this information? Through a wallet, cryptocurrency wallet. So for Ethereum, the most commonly used wallet is MetaMask, right? There is my etherscan.io, sorry, my Ether wallet, I guess. I don't remember the name. So MetaMask is the most common and most efficient one to use. If you can, please install MetaMask in your browsers so that you can, develop and deploy a smart contract later on. It will just take 5 minutes to completely build your create your own ID. So you have to click on download now. It will start downloading on Chrome and Chrome, Firefox, Brave, Edge, wherever you want. So what I'll do is I'll show you a few steps on Firefox, how you can create an account in MetaMask. Okay. So for the first time in Firefox, I will download it. So it automatically shows me Firefox. It has provision for Firefox also. Just simply add to Firefox. It is just an extension that can be added. I click on add. You see that the extension is added. For the first time when I add, it takes me to this page. Let it open. Let me just refresh it. Yeah. So for the first time when we go to MetaMask, it shows this welcome to MetaMask page where we can see get started. So I click on get started and I can see two options, import wallet or create a wallet. So obviously I don't have a wallet right now. So I will create a wallet. So when I click on create a wallet, it takes me to this screen. Simply click I agree. If you want to learn about the terms and conditions, you can. I agree, and a password is required. So you see in the whole process, there is no email ID required, no name required, no contact number, no PAN card, no Aadhaar card, absolutely nothing required, right? So I choose a password and I create it. Now one thing, so there was no email or contact number required in the creation of this. So what if you lose your password? What if you forget your password, right? In that case, MetaMask has given us this secret backup phase. So I'll just open Notepad and paste it here. Right? So what is this secret backup phase? Basically, if you lose your password, this secret backup phase is how you get your account back or get your ethers in your account back. So this is not a password. This is something hard coded. So what you want to do is you can write it down on a piece of paper and store it somewhere in your house, like hide it somewhere in your house. And so that when even your private key is lost, you can still use your ethers. You don't lose your money, right? So in the next window, it asks you to confirm that secret phase, because people usually click next, next, next. So that's why they ask to confirm the secret phase. So element stand cotton wise. I will just do it. So you have to select in the same sequence. And you can confirm. So all done. If you click on all done, your account is created. Just close this window. This is your account on Ethereum. This is how simple it is to create an account on Ethereum, and you get a public key. So this is the representation of your public key. If you click it, you can copy it and you can simply paste it anywhere. So this is your public key, right? This is your account address. Similarly, if you want your private key, you can click on this three buttons and then account details. It will ask you to export private key and you can enter your password and get your private key. This will be your private key which you will use to sign the transactions. So you can see how easy it is to create a public and private key on the MetaMask plugin. In the upper right corner, you can see this Ethereum mainnet drop down. If you click on it, you can see the other test networks that you can choose from. You can choose Ropsten, Kovan, Rinkeby, and Goerli, or even a local host. Okay. There is also an option of custom RPC. So custom RPC is when you know someone who is running a Ethereum node and you know its address and you want to connect with it directly. So it gives you a custom RPC. Local host is when you are running an Ethereum blockchain sample on your own computer, and these test networks and the mainnet. So this is all about MetaMask that you need to know. When I open my MetaMask in Remix, Let me just it refreshes when I open MetaMask because I have disabled the extension. So I can open it. I'll type my password, I guess. So this is currently my balance. So this is shown in yellow. It is outdated, but it is actually the balance on my test network. I don't have this much money. Otherwise, I would be very rich. So Ethereum right now is around 1 lakh. Yeah, it was 1.5 lakh, 1 lakh and 5,000 yesterday. So it dropped to 95,000. Having 26 Ether would mean I would have almost 26 lakh. Right? So under this MetaMask, you can see all the activities, all that I have done, contract deployment, sending Ether, receiving Ether, all the activity here. So coming to the question that you asked, sir, if you want to buy and send, generally we don't need a smart contract to buy and send Ether, right? Smart contracts are made for some other purposes, more complex purposes. You can simply buy and send here also. If anyone has created their MetaMask account, please provide me with their address and I can show everyone how I can send money using MetaMask. Has anyone uh, created a MetaMask account?
Sir, I have created and I have forwarded my address to in the chat box.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Great. So I'll just simply click on send. I'll enter your address. It shows me green button, which means it's authentic. I'll enter 1 Ether. Right. So this is going to be test. You will not see in your mainnet. You will see only in your Inkbee testnet. Okay. Let me see. I'm not able to send to you. Let's see on the. Okay. Sorry. So my account balance is outdated. Let's get some new account balance. This will also help you understand how to get new account balance also. So how to get new Ethers. So you can see currently I have Rinkeby test network, right? So Rinkeby is a little bit complicated in getting Ether. So let's get Ethers on Ropsten test network. So I'll open Ropsten. Okay. So now in my Ropsten test network, I have 0 Ethers. So what I can do is I can go to Ropsten faucet. So every test network has a crypto faucet, right? If you go to Rinkeby, and you can see there is a crypto faucet on the left side. So these crypto faucets are what allows you to get free cryptocurrency or test faucets so that you can use them for your own purposes. So I'll go to Ropsten Ethereum faucet. I'll enter my account number. Let me connect again. So I'll enter my account number and I'll say send me test Ether. So test Ethers have been sent to my account. Now I'll see if this is reflected right away or it might take some time. It's still not showing. Let's see if I can see in this one. Let's say Ropsten faucet.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Harman, sir.
No, I think he is disconnected. We'll wait.
Harman, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, sir. Actually, my
Sir.
internet connection just broke. So
It's okay. Sir, could you please share me your public address so that I can share some ethers to you in a Ropster network, test network?
sure. Actually, my account is not activated right now, but sure, I'll share the account with you.
Herman, you're not audible.
Oh yes. Oh, so I'm not saying.
Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Sir, could you please check?
Sure. I will just check here.
From my side, it is confirmed now.
Where have you sent it to? Rinkby? Which one?
Ropster test network.
Okay. I'll just see. Although
Hello, sir. Sir, I have shared a snapshot in a chat window of a transaction.
yes, apologies from my side. Actually, the electricity is fluctuating, so I keep getting my internet connection or losing it. So I'll connect my hotspot only now. So I guess there will be no problem from now. Am I audible to
Sir,
everyone?
yes, sir. Sir, in the chat, I have shared a snapshot. of the
Yes, yes, I
transaction.
received it, but it is not going to reflect in my ETH balance because it is outdated right now. So I might need to, you know,
Sir, it is showing received.
yeah, it is showing received. I have received it. It shows me also. So this is the transaction detail, right? So amount sent is 0.998572. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is here. The amount is also here, but I will not be able to receive it because I have been inactive for a while on Ethereum. So it marks you as outdated. Maybe I'll change.
Sir, you refresh your IP again, it will come back. Yes. It won't
No,
mark
actually,
in a gray list.
I'm sorry. Yes. So what we can do is, okay. So if this happens, then okay. Otherwise, we will continue with other test faucets only. Okay. Sir, did you had the ethers previously with you, or you requested right now only?
No, sir, I have just requested and I have received in a couple of minutes only.
Yeah. So actually, that's how it normally works. But my network has been congested. I have requested a lot of ethers. Apparently, there's a limit on how much you can.
Sir, use an anonymizer.
Okay. Anonymizer.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not aware of that.
It will refresh your IP in every 5 seconds.
Okay. No. I have not used that, and I guess I won't be able to use it right now. It will
It's
waste
okay.
time. So currently, I'll continue with this part only. So generally, this is how test faucets work. As sir also told you, you receive ethers in probably 1 or uh, 2 seconds max, or right away, right? And the balance shows here where your account is in your MetaMask wallet. And the same thing happens here also when you open, let's say, okay. So before we get into this, let me just give a brief overview. So in the deployment tab of Remix, you can see there is an environment, there is an account, gas limit, and all these values. So the environment is one of the things that we need to focus on. So there is JavaScript virtual machine, injected Web3, and Web3 provider. So JavaScript virtual machine is kind of a blockchain that is running on your Google Chrome, at the back end of your Google Chrome. It is not actually a blockchain. It is something that imitates a blockchain. So whatever you do on your browser, it is done exactly as it would have been on a blockchain network. Then there is injected Web3. This is the MetaMask that you provide. So you connect your MetaMask, and the MetaMask allows you to connect with the Ethereum node. And then there is Web3 provider. It is basically if you have a node running that you want to connect with, right? So that one is handled by this for the HTTPS calls. So currently what I will do is I will choose injected Web3. It directly shows Ropsten because this is the network selected here also. Maybe what I'll do is I'll select Rinkeby because I already have some ethers in this. So it refreshes, and my deployment tab, like injected Web3, it shows Rinkeby, and it shows me the account also that I'm using. So it's not showing me the account balance. Otherwise, it shows the account balance here also. Okay. So let's just continue with the smart contract architecture. I think it is almost end of the first session, and we can start creating the smart contract in the second one. So we still have 5 minutes. So any questions till now?
So we have understood the concept, but need to practice ourselves because we are not in touch for a long time. I'm talking about myself, but definitely in the break time, we will be covering it so that we will be able to catch up with you again. Otherwise,
Sure,
it is
ma'am.
completely clear.
Sure, ma'am. That's
Thank you,
great
sir.
to hear. It's fine.
Thank you, sir.
Any queries?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope there are no questions, Herman.
Okay.
Shall we meet at 11:45 again?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, but the link is different.
Okay.
So
Sure.
anyway, I think you have a second link. We will
Yes,
join
I have.
for that link. The same thing is with the participants also. I have already shared that link. Please join exactly at 11:45 so that we can continue. Thank you all.
Sure, sir. Thank you.